Everybody thinks early retirement requires something extreme, millions in the bank, multiple rental properties, or one perfect investment you somehow timed right. But what if the entire plan could start with just one house? Not 10, not 20, just one. And the crazy part? Most people will spend 30 years paying for a house without ever realizing what it could actually do for them. The plan. Everyone follows. We've all been sold the same blueprint. Work hard, save money, retire at 65. Simple. But today, it's not working the same way. Because costs are rising faster than income, savings are losing value, and retirement keeps getting delayed, so people are doing everything right, but still falling behind. And while most people are stuck trying to save their way out, there's another path quietly working in the background. The asset you already understand. Almost everyone understands housing. You live in it, you pay for it, you maintain it, but very few people understand this. A house is not just a place to live, it's a financial system. The biggest mistake. Here's what most people do. They buy a house, pay it off over 30 years, and feel like they've won. No debt, no payments, safe. But financially, they just locked hundreds of thousands of dollars inside something that produces nothing. And this is the difference between owning an asset and using it. The 4 hidden forces. Your house is quietly doing 4 things at the same time. 1. Appreciation. Even modest growth compounds massively over time. 2. Mortgage paydown. Every month your debt decreases. 3. Inflation advantage. Your fixed payment becomes cheaper every year. 4. Leverage. You control a large asset with limited capital. Alone, these look small. Together, they become powerful. Where it all begins: buying smart. This strategy doesn't start with money. It starts with a decision. What kind of house do you buy? Not the biggest, not the most impressive. Instead, areas with job growth. Strong rental demand, middle-income neighborhoods. Because this is not your dream home. This is your wealth engine, and this is where most people get it wrong, because they buy with emotion, not strategy. The quiet buildup. Now imagine this. You buy one solid property in your 30s. You live in it, you maintain it, you improve it slightly, nothing dramatic, but over time the value increases. The loan decreases. And slowly, something starts to form. Equity. The part nobody uses right. That gap between value and loan, that's equity. Most people protect it, ignore it, never use it. But that's where the real power is. The turning point. At some point, you stop seeing your house as a place and start seeing it as a tool. And instead of letting equity sit, you access it. Not recklessly, strategically. And this is the moment everything changes. Because now your house starts working for you. Turning equity into income. You don't sell the house. You borrow against it. Then, you invest that money into income-generating assets. It could be index funds, bonds, another property, or a business. The asset doesn't matter. The system does. The snowball effect. Now something powerful begins. Your house grows, your investments grow, your income grows, and slowly, your passive income starts catching up to your expenses. The moment of freedom. At some point, income equals expenses. Then, income greater than expenses. That's financial independence. Not millions saved, just enough income to live freely. And the crazy part? Most people could do this, but never will. The psychological shift. When your house builds wealth, everything changes. You make better decisions, take smarter risks, stop living paycheck to paycheck because you're no longer stuck. Why more properties is a trap. People think, more houses equals more success. But reality, more stress, more risk, more complexity. One optimized property is often enough. Let's say, you buy at $420,000. After 10 years to $620,000. Loan drops. Equity grows. You access $200,000, invest at 7%, $14,000 per year, passive income. from money that was doing nothing. And most people will never do this, even though they can. Does this still work today? Yes, things are harder now. Higher prices, higher rates, but the core math hasn't changed. Assets plus time plus leverage equals wealth. The real secret. This isn't about real estate. It's about using what you already have better. Why timing feels so confusing. One reason people delay this strategy is because timing always feels wrong. When prices are low, people are scared. When prices are high, people feel it's too late. So they wait, and wait, and wait. But the truth is, this strategy doesn't depend on perfect timing. It depends on time in the system, the cost of waiting. Every year you delay, you lose something you can't get back: time. Because compounding doesn't just need money, it needs years. And the earlier you start, the less you need to do later. The income illusion. Most people believe income is the answer. If I just earn more, everything will fix itself. But income alone doesn't create freedom. Because without assets, income disappears as fast as it comes. Why saving alone isn't enough. Saving feels safe. But saving alone is slow. Because money sitting still doesn't grow fast enough to beat time. That's why assets matter. The power of leverage is what makes this strategy powerful. You control a large asset with a smaller amount of money. That means your growth is based on the full value, not just what you invested. The silent wealth builder. What makes this strategy different is that it works quietly. No daily checking, no constant decisions. While you live your life, it keeps building the lifestyle advantage. And here's something most people ignore. You're not sacrificing your life. You're living in a real home, comfortable, stable, while building wealth at the same time. Why this feels boring, but works. This strategy isn't exciting. There's no hype, no quick wins. And that's exactly why it works. Because most people ignore boring things, even when they're powerful. The comparison trap. One of the biggest mistakes is comparing yourself to others. People showing luxury lifestyles, fast money, quick success. But what you don't see is the risk behind it. Stability versus speed. Fast money feels exciting, but stability builds freedom. And this strategy is built on stability, not speed. The long-term advantage over 10 to 20 years, small decisions become massive results, because time amplifies everything, good decisions and bad ones. What happens if you don't do this? Now think about the opposite. No assets, no system, just income. You keep working, but nothing compounds. The simplicity advantage. The biggest strength of this strategy is its simplicity. One property, one system, one focus. No complexity, no overload. The normal life trap. Here's what makes this difficult to notice. Everything feels normal. Paying a mortgage feels normal. Living in your house feels normal. But just because something feels normal doesn't mean it's optimal. And this is where most people stay stuck, without even realizing it. The hidden opportunity cost. Every financial decision has a hidden cost, not just what you spend, but what you could have done instead. When your equity sits unused, you're not just being safe, you're losing potential. Why this feels risky? At first, this strategy feels uncomfortable because we've been taught to avoid risk, to play safe, to not touch what we've built. But real risk isn't using your assets, it's leaving them unused for decades, because doing nothing is still a decision. The slow confidence build. The confidence doesn't come instantly. It builds over time. As you see your numbers grow, as you understand the system, what once felt risky starts to feel controlled. Control versus hope. Most people rely on hope. Hope that markets go up. Hope that savings are enough. But this strategy is different. It's based on control. You influence the outcome, and control is what actually creates freedom. The quiet advantage over time. This won't impress people immediately. There's no big moment, no sudden success, but over time, the gap between you and everyone else starts to grow. The compounding awareness. At some point, you stop thinking in months and start thinking in years. You start seeing patterns, and once you see them, you can't unsee them. The final realization. And that's when it clicks. You don't need more effort. You need a better system, because effort without a system keeps you stuck. Most people will spend their entire life working for money, but a small number of people learn how to make money work for them. Yes, things are harder today. Higher prices, higher rates, but the math hasn't changed. Assets plus time plus leverage creates wealth. And this isn't really about real estate, it's about something deeper, using what you already have better. Because waiting feels safe, but waiting has a cost, time. And once time is gone, you don't get it back. Most people will spend their lives working for money, but a small number of people learn something different. They learn how to make money work for them. And that shift starts small. One decision, one asset, one system. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. If this changed how you see money, hit subscribe if you want to understand the system. Before it controls you, drop a comment. I read every one.